Okay, no problem. So first of all, you right-click on your chart and you select Chart Trader, right? And your panel opens up. See this little wheel down here, this little gear? Really faint. You have to kind of squint to see it. If you left-click on that, you get this little dialog box, and you want to click on the second tab and the second radio button. And then, of course, set as default. And what that does is it allows you to move your stops all together at the same time. You move it once, right? If you have the first one checked, then when you go to move your stops, you only move one of them and the rest remain in the original location. So it's a pain. You got too much maneuvering to do in a live trade. So if you click on the second one here, they all move together. That's what you want. Set it as default, hit OK. The next thing you need to do is you have to attach your OSO, right? So click on your attach OSO and then select the number of contracts. So let's just say 2. Then you want to choose your bracket orders. So what you're interested in is 2 limit and 1 stop. That doesn't mean that you're only putting 1 stop on one of your 2 contracts. It means you're putting both stops at the same location. All right, so 2 limits, 1 stop. That's it. Of course, you need to have your template, how large of your targets and stops. So what I have on this one, you'll see that my stop, whoops, boy, that was weird. Why did that go away? All right, the stop, 20, and the second one is 20. Then I've got my targets, one of them 20 and one of them 25. You can make it 21, 22, you can make it 18. It's up to you. But I like to offset my 2 targets so then they're easy to slide. Remember, you just set with that little gear in the lower right over here, down here, to move everything simultaneously. So you need to offset your targets so that you can move them one at a time. That way they're easy to slide to the levels you want them at. You could even, after you've placed your trade, delete one of them. Now you've got 2 stops and 1 target. That way the second one you could use with the trailer. Does that make sense? Make sure you set it as default because you want to use this template on other charts. That's all there is to it. So for example, now that I've got that set up, let's say I want to try to get in sync with this green trade at 1725.8, I could hold my Alt key down, left click, and now I've got my entry, and it just got filled. And then I could take my 2 stops and move them up. And how do I know it's 2 stops? Well, I need a little more space on the right to see it, so I can maybe move that over. Let's just go 5 ticks for now so you can see it. Right? So you see it says STM2, 2 stops. The targets are down below because of my scaling, so I could grab my drag tool, and in the right margin I can scrunch down the chart, and then I can move one of my targets to target 2, and then the other one I could put wherever, or maybe I want to delete it. Let's say I want to trail. So now I still have 2 stops and 1 target, and they're connected. So if the stops get hit, the target cancels. If the target gets hit, one of the stops will cancel, and the other one is still available to start moving lower, 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 and trailing down should the trade move in my direction, right? So it's pretty easy, and you could practice it. You've got these buttons over here. I rarely use them. Rarely. Maybe I make a mistake and I got to exit fast, close, or cancel all if I've got an order that changed and I don't want it anymore. I also have my matrix to the right. You see, here's my matrix. I got real easy access to it. And if I click on crude oil here, it's linked up and you'll see the trade. Theoretically, you'll see the trade. Oh, it wasn't crude, was it? What did I just trade? Oh, it's the Russell. Of course it's the Russell. All right, so there's the Russell. You see how it shows up on my matrix? So I've got 3 of them, and there's a reason why. And I do them the same way every time, so I always know where they are. I start on the top right. This is a stop limit order entry. So instead of setting my trade on the chart will always be a market order, and you'll always pay slippage. Be rare when you don't. The time you don't pay slippage is when it's pulling back. You could typically get a pullback and not pay slippage. But when you're doing a breakout, often you'll pay slippage. If you set your trade, you set your matrix to a stop limit order, you could set your limit. See how I hover over the blue column? I could buy 2 with a limit at 1720.1. And if I were to try to do that, if I click once, 0.2, it gives me a question mark there. So now I have to click on how much of a limit I'm willing to pay. 1 tick, 2 ticks, no ticks. If I click right on the same price level. And then I'll get filled with no slippage unless there's no one on the other side of the trade. And then very rarely it'll just go through and you won't get filled and you'll miss a trade. That could happen. But you won't pay slippage. So that's the trade-off. And that's a good way to go, I think, because most of the time you'll get filled and you won't pay slippage. Every now and then you'll miss a trade. And it could be a winner, but it could also be a trade that blew through that entry so fast that you would have paid a lot of slippage on. You may have not even wanted that trade in the end. So you could use your matrix to enter stop limit orders and really control your trade costs. Okay, that's great. So that's why I have my matrix and my chart trading, because chart trading is really easy to quickly place that trade where you want to put it. But if you have time to place the trade and you're not in a hurry, place it on the matrix so you can get a stop limit and maybe save yourself some slippage. And that adds up, especially with crude oil. Every penny's $10 a contract. All right, now, so why do I have then the one below it in the background? Because this is the same exact thing, but it's a stop market order, not a stop limit order for entries. And the reason why I use that is in case I have a stop and reversal. Now you can do the stop and reversal directly on your chart for the same type of effect, but it might be easier to handle it on the matrix. You could practice both. Why do I not want to use a stop limit order for a stop and reversal? Because oftentimes, or sometimes, you won't get filled on the reversing trade. You'll get filled on your stop. The stops are always market orders, but on the entry, if you have a stop limit order going the other direction, a lot of times you'll miss it. You won't get filled. I don't know why, it's just the way it works for whatever reason. So I recommend if you're using a stop and reversal that you enter the reversing trade with a market order, not a stop limit order, a stop market order. And so I could quickly toggle to it. That's why I have these offset. I have a stop and reverse. Let's say my stop and reverse is at 28.1. I can click over to my stop market order, move this to 28.1, right? And then put a reversing order in. And there it is. And the green handles are there because of the template, the offset targets, 20 and 25 ticks, the 2 stops, 20 ticks. Actually, I just added, I made a mistake, right? I wanted my stop and reverse. Oh, no, that's correct. I want to go long because I went short before. Yeah, that would have been right. Getting all mixed up here. So, but you see how easy it is to cancel also? You click on the little arrow here, you get a drop-down menu. You can see the cancel to, the ones that are grouped together is your new one usually. You get used to which one's which, but you can quickly practice putting the trade on, taking the trade off. Okay, so that's why I have a stop market and a stop limit order template on my matrix. Now on the left side, I also have a matrix, right? Well, this is just single market orders. One contract, market order, no OCOs, just a single market order to get in and out. Why would I want that? Maybe, well, first of all, it helps to open your panel because this is useful. And maybe you miss your target by one tick or two ticks, and you just don't want to fight over it, you want to take profit on one of your contracts, you can just sell one at the market and scale out. Or maybe you lose one of your handles because you forget to click on dead space before clicking on a column, and you click one too many times and you accidentally erase a handle or add an extra handle you didn't want. There's a lot of things you can do when trading that maybe you mess up your template or whatever. You can fix it with the single market orders in here. You can manage your trade, and then when the trade's finished, just be sure to cancel any extra handles that are hanging out there that you don't want. Any open orders, right? So it's very useful to have this matrix set up. And then here I've got my radar screen, and I've got the charts I typically trade. I don't care about the time interval. You can see how that stopped out and all the handles are canceled, right? The trade's over. Always double check and make sure if there's a cancel all button in yellow, you want to push it because that means you have a stray order out there. You always want to double check that. But you only need this one matrix. You don't need a bunch of matrices for each symbol. You could set up radar screen and you can just click on the one you're trading. So maybe it's the YM or maybe it's crude oil, right? So this one matrix configuration covers a lot of ground for me. And I occupy an entire monitor over on the right just for that. So that's a good interface or a good setup with your chart trader, your matrices, and being well coordinated. And then you have a layout that you can practice. What you want to do, once you've got this set up the way you like it, you want to have very efficient mouse movement, right? You don't want to have to move too far to place orders. It's good if you have your chart right in front of your eye and your order entry right in front also. You don't want to like jump 3 screens over to get to your order entry or whatever. So then you could practice it over and over and over again, 1,000 times if necessary. Practice placing trades, canceling trades, placing trades, placing stop and reversals, canceling stop and reversals, putting the stop back, then moving it again. Every single possible thing you can think of, practice it over and 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 over, so that you become so reflexive and so expert at it, it's like hopping on a bike and pedaling down the street. You don't even think about it, you just do it. And you can get your trading that proficient, at least physically, mentally, so that you've got the confidence in how to execute trades without problems and how to overcome problems that could occur by accidentally putting on stray orders that you didn't intend and stuff like that. Paul says, great master class on orders. Thanks a ton. I use stop limit orders in Ninja, so glad I can do that. Yeah, well, stop limit with the matrix. I don't think you can do it with chart trading. Mike, hi Troy, can you help me fix my data series? Yes, but not at the moment, Mike. We'll do that when we circle around to Spotlight, okay? Because we're getting close to the crude oil session here. I want to get set up for that and start focusing.